Hi, Will here for Sound on Sound at the Eventide booth at the NAMM show in Anaheim with Tom. Tom, what have you got for us?
We have a new plugin that we're coming out with at the end of February called Fission. It's the first plugin in what we're calling the structural effects family of plugins. So what that means is we've discovered a new approach for actually splitting up the structural elements of a sound into the transient element and the tonal element. As opposed to a traditional transient designer, we're using a dynamics-based approach to either gain up or gain down the attack of a note as opposed to the body. We've actually come up with a new patent-pending algorithm that is able to, in the time and frequency domains, actually totally pull those two elements apart, and then we run them through different effects and can combine them to make some new interesting sounds. So it's great for sound design purposes, and it's also got some nice utilities to it as well. You can retune drums without affecting the smack of the drum head, different stuff like that. So we're pretty excited about it.
Awesome. Well, let's have a little listen, shall we?
Sure. All right. So here we have the structural split section. This is the main kind of meat and bones of this plugin, as this is what controls the split between the transient and the tonal portions of the sound. So here we have a source type selector, which optimizes the algorithm for the source material you're running it on. In this case, I'm going to be playing some guitar sounds. This focus slider here is going to bias the algorithm to classify more portions of the sound as transient or tonal. And these two controls are for limiting how fast a piece of the audio that we identify as transient or tonal can switch back to being switching to the other stream if we decide later that it has changed characteristic. That's useful for removing artifacts. We also have here the different effect options that you can select from for both the transient and tonal streams. So the cool thing about this split is it's actually complementary. So anything we don't identify as tonal, we identify as transient. So you can see here, as I play the sound with no effects running, you actually can't tell the difference between the dry, bypassed sound and the sound of the split and then recombination. But what's cool is we can actually go ahead and solo the transient here. And you can actually hear that we're just getting the pick noise of the guitar. So we're actually pulling out the transient attack of this guitar into its own stream. This transient decay control here, as we turn this up, it's going to start bleeding a little more of the tonal into the transient bit of the stream. So you can kind of hear now that you're getting a little more of the ring of the note. So what's interesting is because we're removing this into the transient channel, if we listen to the tonal channel, we get a really cool bowed guitar sound. So you can get some really nice pad sounds out of standard instruments just by removing the attacks completely. This is nice on guitar, piano, any instrument that has kind of a hammer or a picking sound to it. Of course, you can start running this through one of the 7 tonal effects that we have here, such as reverbs, choruses, etc. So that's just one of the creative aspects of the plugin. One of the other cool things we can do is actually drum retuning. Normally, if you were to retune a drum, when you do the shift, you actually will have, you'll notice that the slap of the stick on the drum head will actually start to morph as well, and you get kind of this mushy, muddled sound. So here, if I have, here I have some tom hits. So you can see I can actually change the pitch of the drum head here, or sorry, the pitch of the resonant part of the drum without changing the snap at all. So you get a nice transparent retuning sound, which is really cool. Of course, if you were to just do this only to the tonal portion of the signal, if I was just setting the entire signal for this, you can hear it gets a little mushy, it's not that great. So it's really nice to be able to kind of isolate that bit of the sound. So you have a snare maybe, it's ringing too much, you want to pull a bit of the body of the snare drum out. This is really useful for doing that. As you can see here, I have a snare with a bit of a ring to it. If I want to get rid of that, I can actually just go ahead and start pulling that out of it entirely. Now you just get the hit of the snare drum with none of the ring to it. So the cool thing about this plugin is there's utility purposes to it, as well as sound design. We have a wide selection of effects you can choose from. Another cool one is if you have on guitar, maybe you want to put a tremolo on it. Normally a tremolo, when you're in the valley of the tremolo, you'll miss any playing that happens, of course. But the cool thing is if we actually pull the attacks out first, and then apply the tremolo to just the tonal part. You get a tremolo, but you're still getting all the phrasing of what you're playing in it, which is pretty interesting. So you can see if I have a normal tremolo here, you're going to hear that it loses some of that phrasing to the sound, but if we actually go ahead and bleed the attack in a bit, you can hear you still get the playing and the tremolo is still happening, but you're getting the phrasing of the picking, which is really nice. So there's a whole wide variety of things you can do with the plugin. Say you have a vocal track, you just want to apply some unique effects to it. You can actually go ahead, get a nice sound by applying a chorus, or a reverb is really nice. If you put a reverb just on the tonal section, you get a really nice smooth reverb as there's no transients going into it. And then apply maybe a short delay, like slap back on the top. So you can hear this vocal demo here.
There's a little drop of water
put this in here.
Rolling down my
Here I get a nice cool
my voice
vocal sound.
to falter.
So we're really excited about the parallel processing possibilities of this plugin, especially because we're just applying it to either the transient or the tonal bits. So we should hopefully be having a family of effects based around this approach, maybe a specific drum retuner or just a structural EQ. So yeah, really excited about it, and hope you guys dig it.
Okay, how much is it going to cost then, and when will it be available to the public?
It's going to be, we're estimating $199 when it comes out, though we do intro pricing on newly released plugins. Probably be about $99 during that first month. It'll be available 4 to 6 weeks, probably about the end of February.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.